Dexter Resurrection Episode 5, there is a lot to talk about, so let's just get right into it. I'm Pamela, welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, please subscribe to the channel because we are talking all things Dexter throughout this entire season of Resurrection. So today we're doing a pretty thorough recap, a little review thrown in there, and I will start off by saying I was just a little bit disappointed with this week's episode. It was still good, I still enjoyed it. You guys know I absolutely love Dexter, and there were a lot of good things in this episode, but I was a little bit disappointed with some things, and we'll get into why. So the episode opens up with Dexter stopping Harrison from turning himself into the police. And Harrison, of course, is in shock. He's like, "You're dead, I shot you, how are you here? How did you find me?" And Dexter brings him back to his apartment and explains how he lived. The cold weather slowed down his heart rate so that he didn't bleed out. And Harrison says, "You're like a goddamn horror movie villain," which I just love the reference because as you can see from behind me, I'm obsessed with horror movies. And Michael C. Hall himself and like Scott Reynolds and some of the other show creators have said in interviews in the past that Dexter really is like a horror movie villain. He just keeps coming back. Harrison asks him, "Why aren't you in jail?" Dexter explains the whole thing about Chief Bishop clearing him. Harrison's like, "You have no idea what that day in the woods did to me. I've been pretty much losing my mind." And Dexter's trying to calm him down like, "Don't worry about it. I'm the one who told you to shoot me. I shouldn't have done that to you." And Dexter reveals to him that I know about Ryan Foster and the body chopped up into 9 pieces, just how I taught you. And then something I loved is they reused a couple of scenes from Original Sin when Dexter's explaining how in college he stopped a predator from assaulting his Aunt Deb and his first kill. These are both scenes that we saw in Original Sin. So I do really like how they're kind of like intertwining both of these shows. This is not the first time that they've used a scene from Original Sin. Last week they used the scene with John Wayne Gacy. And Dexter saying how at his age he felt the same darkness as Harrison and how he felt release after his first kill. And Harrison is like, "I don't feel release. I'm in hell. I can't carry this guilt." So Dexter was thinking that him and Harrison are more alike than they actually are. And Harrison mentions Batista tracking him down because Harrison brings up LaGuerta and how LaGuerta died even though she was innocent and she died because of Dexter. And Dexter's like, "How do you know about LaGuerta?" So now he knows that Batista tracked down Harrison. Dexter says, "Don't worry, he has nothing on me. I talked to him in Iron Lake." And this is where Harrison realizes that Batista lied to him and let him think that Dexter was actually dead. And then in this episode, we get a little bit more with Leon Prader. We have him do this interview and we find out that he spent most of his life in a foster home and he gives back a lot of his money because he had help in his life, but he wants to keep that off the record. So they kind of really teased us with a little bit more Prader this episode. They didn't give us too much. And then we do get the police calling back Harrison because if you remember last week, Harrison called Claudette. He was gonna turn himself in. So the police call him back and he has to play it off because he's not gonna turn himself in. Dexter convinced him not to. Also, I should note that Dexter took the Ryan Foster watch from Harrison because obviously that's going to come into play later on in this episode. So now Harrison is pretty much rejecting Dexter. He doesn't really want him in his life, at least not yet, and Dexter is sort of looking for a connection, maybe with Mia. So he calls up Mia, wants to take her to Swan Lake because she likes ballet. She says that's boring, so he takes her bowling. And I thought this scene was so cute. I was really loving these two up until a certain point in this episode, which we'll get into. But the way they're bowling together and flirting, I was loving this. We do find out that she moves around a lot and she doesn't have any friends or family in her life, so her and Dexter at this point have a lot in common. So then Harrison is talking with Claudette. He says that he called the NYPD to get Shauna's number, the girl that he saved, because he feels bad that he couldn't do more to help her. And he says that he felt guilty when he found out who Ryan was. And Claudette says, interesting word choice. Past behavior determines future behavior, and she knows from the Iron Lake Gazette that he stopped a school shooting in Iron Lake. So she is thinking that this killer who killed Ryan had a hero complex. And then we get another little scene with Prader's interview. We know that his gala is coming up. It's the 10th year for the gala, benefiting the New York City's Police Foundation. It's a very exclusive gala, only 200 attendees, tough to get a ticket, and we do find out that both his parents were killed by a drunk driver while he was in the back seat. and that is why he supports the Foundation. I feel like they are setting something up here for a further episode because, like I said, we don't get that much with Prader in this episode. So Mia and Dexter are saying goodbye, but she wants to go to a wine bar with him later, and she asks him, have you ever considered collaborating on a kill? So Dexter is like considering this. He's talking to Harry about them teaming up, and Harry says, when did teaming up with another killer ever work out for you? Miguel Prado, Lumen? And Dexter says those weren't killers, not real ones. Mia would be different. So I do love that we got a Lumen mention. I like that they're not really forgetting her from the story. Maybe we can see her one day in the future. So Harry is telling Dexter that at this point, Mia thinks Red is this sick killer, so there must be something wrong with her if she wants to team up with a sicko who saws people's heads off. And Dexter's considering telling her who he really is, but Harry's trying to convince him not to, because maybe she'll tell Prader that he's actually the Bay Harbor Butcher. And then we get a small scene with Charlie in the hospital with her sick mom, and she's lying about her job to her. Her mom thinks that she's a 3rd grade teacher. So this was an interesting little scene. We don't get much after this. This is all we get. I don't exactly know what the point of this scene was. Maybe just to show why Charlie does this. She probably works with Prader simply for the money. Because I have said in past videos, Charlie's clearly a killer. She killed Keith. But she almost seems to be a little bit disgusted by some of these serial killers. When she found Red's trophies, she called him a psycho. So I get the feeling like she doesn't actually want to be doing this, but she needs the money for her sick mother. And then Dexter does buy a new blood slide box. I love that we're getting the blood slides back, but I don't know, this might come back to bite him in the ass later. Because we've seen in the past in the original show, the blood slides get him caught. And he needs a new hiding spot for this, and he uses Blessing Kamara's daughter's hiding spot where she hid her drugs in the past. So I don't know, there's no lock on it. Maybe Blessing's gonna find it one day, I don't know. So now we have Dexter and Mia drinking and flirting some more, and at this point I'm loving it. And he starts to open up to her just a little bit. He says that the taste of the wine reminds him of Miami after it rains, and she asks him, have you spent a lot of time in Miami? And he reveals that I actually grew up there. So she says, what else have you been hiding? So he's starting to open up a little bit, but then she admits that she started out following a code to recreate the rush of the first kill, but now she no longer really follows the code. And she says, like, you and Al and Lowell don't need a noble reason to kill. The media thinks women can't just enjoy killing. And the trophies that she has of the men who she's killed are innocent, and the media labeled most of them as predators. But the truth is, she's the predator. So at this point, I am absolutely devastated. I was so hoping, since before the season even started, that she followed a code like Dexter. And from what we found out last week, it seemed like she did follow a code, and I was so happy that Dexter was finally going to have someone in his life who could truly be just like him and fully understand him, someone who he could actually start a life with. Because, you know, it obviously didn't work out with Rita, didn't work out with Lumen, same thing with Hannah and Lila, and I was like, finally, it's gonna happen. And just like Dexter says in this episode, I'm the idiot who didn't see it. I feel bamboozled as well. I'm truly devastated about this. So she wants to collab with him tonight. She's like, let's be spontaneous. Dexter says, I have a kill kit in my car. So they're gonna go meet out on the corner, and Dexter is taking out his M99. And Harry says to Dexter, there's no one else in the world like you. It's a compliment. And it's true. We have yet to see someone who is truly like Dexter. So then they're walking. She tries to get into your car, but Dexter stops her. And he's like making excuses. You know, you don't have a hoodie like me, the camera shy hoodie. So now Mia is like frustrated with him. She says, you're a tease. First the shower thing, and now this. You got me all murder horny, which explains our episode title. And she's like, so I'm gonna go do my thing. And Dexter can't kill her yet because it's too suspicious if 2 guests go missing after the new guy shows up. So he's got to figure something else out. Dexter breaks into her apartment. He's doing something in there, and then he is watching from the window. He's like across the street or whatever up on a balcony watching her do her thing through her window. Mia had met a guy out for like a date. She's pretending to be on a date with him, takes him back to her place. She's trying to, you know, hook up with him or make him think that. She takes a trophy from him and then she whacks him with a wine bottle over the head. At this point, I am wondering where she even dumps the bodies, because obviously her victims get found. So Dexter calls 911 and he puts on a New York accent, which I thought was so funny. It's not the first time we've seen him put on an accent, and I always love when he does this. So now she has her victim all strung up with her toolkit and she's like about to kill him, but then the cops bust in and she gets arrested, and they find Ryan Foster's watch in her trophies. So we know in the beginning of the episode, Dexter took the watch from Harrison and he used it to frame Lady Vengeance. And a lot of you guys called this. A lot of you guys in my comment section said that you thought that this is what's going to happen. Also, Dexter planted oxidized bleach, which is what Harrison used to clean up the hotel room. So everything is just working in Harrison's favor at this point. Dexter is good. This definitely feels like old school Dexter. It's been a long time since he's done something like this, where he's planted evidence, set up someone else to cover up something that he did, but I guess this time it's Harrison he's covering for. And Claudette did not anticipate a serial killer. She thought it was kind of like a one-time deal, but Oliva says to her, "You were right, it was someone with a hero complex." So the media thinks that Lady Vengeance has a hero complex, even though she doesn't actually. So now Prader is at home watching his interview and Charlie shows up. She says, "I found where Mia is being held, but there's a problem. I can't get to her and the feds could move her at any moment." And Prader says, "I hired you to make problems go away. Did I make a mistake?" So they know that Mia has been arrested. They're gonna have to figure something out. I don't know what's gonna happen. Mia was telling Dexter in the previous episode that one of the previous guests of Prader got arrested, and apparently he killed himself, or so they think. So is Prader gonna have Mia killed so that she doesn't talk and reveal the whole thing about Prader? Because if she's going down for these murders, why not talk and reveal everything about Prader? So maybe they're gonna have to kill her. I really don't know what the hell's gonna happen. So then we get our one and only scene with Batista in this episode. He is at home in his room working on the case, and he's watching the news and he finds out that Ryan Foster was apparently killed by Mia LaPierre, and he's just like, what the fuck? And he's looking at his wall. So we've seen this wall in a couple of the trailers before, and I've wondered, is this Batista's wall or is this Claudette's wall? So he has a wall with Dexter's mugshot from Iron Lake, a couple of shots of Harrison on the street, a piece of paper that says body chopped into 9 pieces. So he is trying to put the pieces together of this case. And this is our only scene with Batista. They really didn't give us much in this episode. And then Elsa tells Harrison about Lady Vengeance being arrested, so I'm sure he feels some relief, but he calls Dexter and says, "Was it you? It's not like you to have a serial killer arrested." Dexter says, "I was recently reminded how important it is to have people in your life who truly know you." And Harrison is like, "Do I know you though?" And Dexter is opening up to Harrison and says, "I was so surprised when your mom loved me. When you were born, I was scared to death. I didn't know how to have a family and still be me." And then we get another Trinity reference. He says, "He seemed to have the balance right. You know, he seemed like a devoted husband and father. I thought I could learn from him, but it was stupid. I let the line blur between Trinity being my mentor and my target. After I killed him, I came home and discovered he had already killed your mom." And this is the first time Harrison is hearing about this. And I was kind of wondering, like, did Dexter fill him in New Blood? I honestly couldn't remember, but Harrison is finally figuring out the truth about what happened with his mom and Trinity. Harrison says, "I'm not like you," and Dexter says, "I don't want you to be, not anymore. You turning yourself in proves that you have a goodness and a humanity that I never will. And I promise I won't try to mold you into my image ever again. I have so many reasons to kill, but you're my reason to live. I still want a family and you're all I have." And Harrison says, "You're all I have." And then he reached his hand out to touch Dexter's hand, and that made me so emotional. I love that. I love that Harrison is finally coming around, and it doesn't look like they're gonna drag this out for a while. It looks like Dexter and Harrison are going to finally be getting along going forward. And I do wonder what their relationship is going to be like, because clearly Dexter's not going to stop killing. Harrison doesn't want to kill himself, but is he going to be okay with what Dexter does? It'll be interesting to see for sure. And then our final scene of the episode, Charlie goes to see Mia in jail. She gets 10 minutes with her to talk, and Mia says, "I thought I was going to be talking to a lawyer. What are you doing here?" Charlie says, "I wanted to look you in the eye to be sure." And Mia says, "Look, I fucked up. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm not going to ask for money or make threats." And Charlie says, "Our mutual friend appreciates that." And she says, "I will make sure that your time here is comfortable and short as possible." So again, what does that mean? What's going to happen? Are they going to kill Mia because she's in jail now and she could potentially talk about Prader and his whole operation? I feel like Mia has to stick around for a little bit longer, but I'm trying to think back to set images that we got when they were filming, and I honestly can't remember seeing any of her beyond her getting arrested. I need to go back and check out my past videos where I shared a bunch of the set images with you guys. So yeah, like I said, I was a little bit disappointed with this episode. It wasn't that crazy of an episode. Last week's episode was one of the best episodes of the entire franchise. So I guess not every single episode can be an absolute banger, but I was really enjoying Mia and Dexter's scenes up until she revealed that she doesn't follow a code. I am really disappointed about that. I'm honestly kind of devastated. I really wanted them to be this couple, to share a code. We didn't get a lot of Batista in this episode, which was a little disappointing, but I guess they're setting it up for the second half of the season. We are halfway through the season though already, so we gotta start picking up again next week. Again, this episode, we did not get anything with the Gemini killer. I was saying last week that I'm intrigued by him because out of all the killers that we met in episode 4, we really didn't get much info about the Gemini killer whatsoever, and I feel like there's gonna be more with him. I know from set images we do get some scenes with him. There's gonna be a scene down at the South Street Seaport with Dexter and the Gemini killer, so looking forward to that. And Prader did say that he has a bunch of events happening in the next 2 weeks. And we're already halfway through the season, so we gotta start seeing some of these events. I'm sure next week, episode 6, there will be another Prader event, which I'm excited for. Again, we need to get some more info about Prader. They kind of just teased him a little bit this episode. We didn't get much. Same with Charlie, same with her mother in the hospital. But I do wonder what's going to happen also with Claudette, because now she has her killer for Ryan Foster as far as she believes. So are they going to completely move on from Harrison? Is he in the clear? Or is she going to continue to look into it and it's going to come back to bite him in the ass? Because we learned last week she can't let things go, and it almost cost her her job with the New York Ripper. And I wonder if that's going to come into play. Something with the New York Ripper. Who's that? Prader said he's never been caught. I know some of you guys think Prader himself is a New York Ripper. Some of you guys think it could be Blessing Kamara. I don't know about that. That seems like a little bit of a crazy theory, but honestly, never say never at this point. Some people think Detective Oliva is the New York Ripper. Little bit of a slow episode, but I am super happy that Harrison and Dexter have officially made up. I liked that one little scene at the end there with Dexter and Harrison and Harry behind Harrison. And I'm just looking forward to next week, but let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. What did you think about this episode? Are you as devastated as I am about Lady Vengeance not following a code? Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here so that you don't miss out on future Dexter videos. Please also follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and I will see you guys next time.